Today is Monday, the 14th of August, the memorial of St. Maximilian Kolbe.
Hello, my name's Lizzie, I'm Anglican, and today I'm going to be moving into a convent ready to become a postulant. I'm losing my voice a bit, I'm not quite sure why, so sorry for my odd voice today. If you're wondering how I'm feeling, I'm still feeling most of all just deeply peaceful. At one point in the night, not that I was like awake in the night nervous or anything, but I just remember at one point in bed last night thinking, oh my goodness, am I doing the right thing? But this morning I've woken up very peaceful, and what really helps is that the whole process of discerning whether or not you're called to religious life, it isn't just left to your own discernment. It's the kind of the burden of the discernment in a way is shared across the community that you're exploring things with, and it really is exploring, like the phrase that people use is testing your vocation, and it really is that really all I'm committing to at this stage, because it's all done in gradual stages, is I'm committing to like a 6-month tryout, and if that seems right, then I potentially end up staying after today for life, but it is done in stages. So it's not like I'm waking up this morning making this massive lifelong commitment. I'm going to be in this community for the rest of my life from today. I might be, but that's not the commitment I'm making today. So that makes it less daunting, or less. It just really helps knowing that it's all done in gradual stages. Anyway, in a bit, my dad is very kindly going to drive me into Leicester Cathedral for the early morning Eucharist to save me the long walk there and back. And then shortly after that, we'll put my bags in the car and head off. My parents and my sister are going to take me to the convent today. And while I was mentioning Leicester Cathedral, that reminds me of something I really wanted to share with you from yesterday. I couldn't go to my main church, my home church, where I've been worshipping most Sundays. I couldn't get there yesterday, so I said goodbye to them the previous Sunday. So yesterday I went to the early morning Eucharist at the cathedral, like the Sunday morning 8 o'clock one. And as I was walking in, I bumped into someone I'd never seen before, a young lady who looked about the same age as me. And so we were talking as we went in, and she said that she doesn't normally go to that service, and she nearly didn't go to that service, she nearly went to the later one. And I said, well, I don't normally come here to this service either. And we ended up sitting next to each other, and it got to the end of the service and she turns and looks at me and says, I think I've seen you on YouTube, and this is someone I've never met in my life. And I said, well, yeah, I have been making some YouTube videos recently. And she said, yeah, I was looking for a documentary on becoming a nun on YouTube, and then I stumbled across one of your YouTube videos. So then we were talking like for quite a long time after the service, and it turns out that she's wondering if she's called to religious life, and we just couldn't get over how, like, what a, well, not necessarily a coincidence, but probably God behind it, but that two people about the same age who are both Anglican, who are both wondering if they're called to religious life, just end up sat next to each other on my last day in Leicester, and she happened to have come across my YouTube channel and all these things. It was incredible. So we had a really good conversation, and she was asking me about which active religious communities, Anglican ones, I was aware of in the country. So we're having conversations about that, and it turns out she's actually off to visit a religious community today. So it'd be nice if we could pray for her in her discernment journey, as that she prays about whether she's called to religious life and which community. So that I thought I'd share that because that was so exciting yesterday, and that just goes to show that that's another younger Anglican who's feeling called to religious life. So there's her, me, and the novice where I'm going that I'm aware of, who are like our kind of age. So it just goes to show that people are still feeling called to what you might call traditional religious life. So that was really exciting. I just wanted to share that in this last video. Yeah, my dad's taking me to the Eucharist, and then we're going to go off after that. And Oh yeah, so the last thing I wanted to say really was that when I started this YouTube channel, I said in the trailer that although I'm kind of sharing this stage of kind of my own little journey, I wanted the channel not to be so much about me as to be about just exploring vocation to religious life and about religious life in general. And I hope that some of the things that I've said have been like either interesting to you or useful, whether or not you feel called to religious life. And that got me thinking about how we often talk about the word vocation. Like there's quite a lot at the moment where there are like vocation days and this kind of thing to help you explore your vocation. And in that kind of setting, the word vocation is definitely a lot used about like what's your individual calling kind of thing. But then the bigger context is that all of our little stories are all part of like a bigger story. So each of our kind of individual vocations is part of like the story of the church and what God's doing in the church and through the church, and even that is part of a bigger story of how God is using the church in the story of the world. And the ultimate thing that all our individual stories slot into is this is God's story that we're all like each like a really, really tiny part of. So I just thought it's really good to keep like the bigger picture in mind. And the last thing I wanted to share with you, because this really will be the last thing I ever say on this YouTube channel, that I hope could be useful to people whether or not you feel called to religious life, and it's to do with vocation. It's a prayer that I was taught by a very holy and wise priest a few years ago, and he introduced me to Charles de Foucauld and Charles de Foucault's prayer of abandonment. And he said that for him it was a very like central prayer in his life that he prayed every day, and he encouraged me to make it a central prayer in my life. And that's the prayer that I basically would like to end this whole YouTube channel with. So over the next like couple of minutes, what I'll do is I will pray that prayer and invite you wherever you are and wherever you are in life and whatever you feel called to join me in praying that prayer. And I just thought that would be like for all of us to abandon ourselves to God together in prayer would be like probably the most fitting end to this YouTube channel.
Father, I abandon myself into your hands. Do with me what you will. Whatever you may do, I thank you. I am ready for all. I accept all. Let only your will be done. In me and in all your creatures. I wish no more than this, O Lord. Into your hands I commend my soul. I offer it to you with all the love of my heart. For I love you, Lord, and so need to give myself, to surrender myself into your hands. Without reserve and with boundless confidence, for you are my Father,